Richie here from Driftomaniacs. It's my Traxxas UDR review, or to give it its full name, my Traxxas Unlimited Desert Racer review. When I say exactly what you get for your money, keep watching. And by the way, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. If you do subscribe, hit that little notification button. Anyway, let's see what we get for our money. Welcome. This is my Traxxas UDR review. This is a car I said to myself, you're not going to buy that, Richie. Get the Losi Super Baja rate instead. So what changed my mind? Well, I looked at a few other sort of people's videos online. I got off in how people's experiences were, how it was handling, how it looked to be. Don't get me wrong, love the scale look of it, but I just like the Losi Super Baja rate more because it was more like my big bad boy sitting down there out of his camera shot. The Losi DV XLE. Wanted something big like that. I was a little bit disappointed when I first saw this because it isn't that much bigger than the Revo is, but I'm going to put them side by side on the bench before this video is out. The main thing that concerned me on this was the servos. Just like the Revo, they seem to be the same servos, I believe, as the Revo, but we'll see when we unbox it. And the Revo servos have been failing left, right and centre. I felt too. Don't get me wrong, Traxxas are brilliant. They sent my servos out. I didn't arrive with me within 2 days, which is pretty darn good to my mind. They may well be the same servos in this, so I'm going to have a look and say, but that didn't worry me too much because I've got an absolutely great solution coming up in a video later this week, hopefully for the weekend, of a great solution for the Traxxas Revo servos at a bargain of a price. So if they're the same servos on this, I'm going to fit them to this as well. So watch out for that video. You don't want to miss that one if you have problems with your Revo. Okay, one thing I would mention to anybody thinking of buying one of these and comparing it to the Losi Super Baja rate, the Losi is substantially bigger in size than this. When I put this side by side against my Revo, you will see it's not actually that much bigger in terms of wheelbase than the Revo. It's only about 1.5 inches longer in terms of its wheelbase. It's longer overall than the Revo. And also, it doesn't come, like many of the modern Traxxas cars, doesn't come with a battery or charger. So you will need to budget for separate batteries and chargers for it. Personally, I'm hoping it takes my new GMB 100C packs, because these babies is like sticking rocket fuel in your RC car. Now, speaking of that 50-mile-an-hour speed, here's a quick look at the end of the box in here. You will note the gearing, 2751 for 30 miles an hour under 4S, and 2x2, 4S again, 40 miles an hour. You've got slightly different gearing. You've got 34x51, but luckily to get that top speed of 50 miles an hour, you don't need to go out and buy any optional gearing, because it's just a 50 miles an hour plus on the 27x51 on 6S. Now you need to bear in mind, on a lot of Traxxas cars, the top speed that they quote is with optional gearing, and a lot of Traxxas cars don't come with that gearing. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people out there driving around in their Traxxas Stampedes, their Slashers, etc., thinking the thing's doing 30 miles an hour plus. I can tell you from testing them on a speed test, more likely doing 23, 24 miles an hour max out the box. So you do want to pay attention to that if you're buying another Traxxas model. Okay, now it comes Traxxas Link enabled. That means you do need to go out and buy the Bluetooth module to go in the back of this transmitter. But you will only need to do that once. Like, I've already got a transmitter like this same one here with the Bluetooth module in it, and any Traxxas transmitter can be used with up to 20 Traxxas cars. So I will probably use my existing transmitter with the Bluetooth in, enabling me to use the app. Hope that makes sense. Well, you will see this far better when I open it, but we've got integrated, fully functional tube chassis, which gives it a great scale look on there, yet at the same time being highly protective. Solid axle system fitted onto it, but on the front here we have got long travel front suspension, independent front suspension on it, deal interior, exceptional scale detail, following solid axle, direct drive centre diff, GTR shocks and electronic speed controller. Anyway, let's have a look at the real thing. Okay, time to find out what's in the box. Now, we'll point out the picture of the car is on the top, so it should be the right way out, fingers crossed, because as my regular viewers will know, I've had to open these boxes up, and a car typically is upside down. This time, it is the right way up. Ooh, shiny. Well, it actually looks bigger now than it did in the case in the showroom when I first saw it. Now, bit of a long haul, I'm wondering where the transmitter is because there's no other separate box in. I can see that immediately. So, do not throw the packaging away before you find the transmitter. which is upside down. Okay, well we've got a ubiquitous Traxxas 2.4 GHz transmitter. It takes 4 AA batteries underneath, which I believe you will need to supply. On the left hand dial, we've got our steering adjustment for steering trim. The right hand dial controls the level of TSM input. That's how much the car is going to correct itself automatically and flatter your driving style. Throttle, brake, steering. On that, the 2 buttons on the top can be used to control various functions on the car, such as binding it with a different Traxxas car, as an example, or reversing the steering and the throttle. I did mention it comes Traxxas Link enabled, but it doesn't have the Bluetooth chip fitted in the back, so you'll need to spend about another $40 on there. I'll put a link to that if I can find it below the video. I would highly recommend getting one, because as I say, you can then use this same transmitter with all your Traxxas radios and use the app with all your cars that are Bluetooth Link enabled, that is. And we've got our ubiquitous Traxxas instruction manual, which will include a quick start guide in there, no doubt. A lot more detail online on a lot of these Traxxas products these days, and like how-to videos and things, but they tend to be like a couple of weeks after the car's launch, which is one of my only gripes with them, as people like myself tend to release how-to videos before Traxxas do. Traxxas set stickers, little phone block, not sure what that is up to, little toolkit in there. Any other option parts? No, it doesn't seem any option parts in there, but I will open that and have a read through that later. But let's get that thing out of that plastic cover. Okay, see what it looks like on the plastic cover. The scale detail is immediately leaking out at me as I'm peeling this back. Okay, boys and girls, tell me your first impressions in the comment section right now. It is quite a lot better looking than I thought. I'd seen one behind the glass cabinet, and to start with, I actually wasn't too impressed with it, but in the flesh, very, very, very impressive, very shiny, probably not for long, not the way I drive. Anyway, we're going to take the camera off the tripod and get up close and personal with this bad boy. Okay, well, starting down the front, I'm going to sweep over the top to start with. Taking a peek in there, we've got our little driver and co-driver. So I bet if there's any too much reflection on her. The detail on the back is absolutely stunning. So, in fact, I'm just going to take all that in again. That is just gobsmacking the attention to detail. I do hope this thing is going to prove to be quite stable and not be flipping on its back all the time, because it is absolutely gorgeous there alongside to look at. Anybody got any comments on the tyre treads, whether they give a high grip or not? Speaking of tyres, I will talk about those in just a second. There is one thing that is quite unique to this truck. Yeah, those look like they're not going to be too bad off-road. So what are your first thoughts on that, people? First of all, I've noticed the impact bumpers poking out here through the bodywork on there. This feels very rigid, by the way, very rigid on it. We got another little side bumper on there. Those tyres, it actually comes blinding the obvious with 6 of them. As the guy in the store said, that's actually quite a bit of money, because there's also a spare drive shaft attached on here as well, so you're getting quite a few spares thrown in with the thing. Now, the other blinding the obvious thing you may have noticed, like me, is there is a distinct lack of body pins. So those are fake body pins on the front there. So I'm going to need to read the instruction manual as to how to remove that body, or even if you need to remove the body at all, to put the batteries in. But anyway, have your thought in the comments while I figure out how to do the battery. But before I do that, let's have a quick pan down the underside. They're looking like some seriously beefy front arms and aluminum brace underneath there. Moving on down. ESC is tucked away just at the back there, and that's a solid rear axle in there. Suspension to either side, and just checking out that rear end, how beefy a rear end and bumper is that thin. Now, the one thing I would note is you don't appear to be have, I think I might save us off time even looking through the manual, because that appears to obviously be the battery compartment there, so you're not going to be able to get access to a lot of the electronics without taking this bodywork off. Now, as it appears to be sort of screwed on there. I see no reason to take it off at the minute because I just want to put the batteries in, go out of a good first bash with this thing. With it turned upside down, you can see that neat full link suspension, a lot of metal parts in the back here. All of this casing is plastic, even though I wasn't sure it was aluminium to start with. One neat little feature on there, they've got limiting straps fitted on both sides in order to stop the axle dropping down too much and the ends popping out the shocks. Neat to do with it on its side. Let's a quick dive in there, looking at the front suspension. See all the good bits in there. Moving around to the rear, as I said, limited visibility with the body on, but I'm not getting the body off just to have a look at stuff which for most of the time is going to be covered up. And we've got our little mock disc brakes on the back. Very neat scale feature, and as I say, there is our ESC tucked away up inside. Now, rear suspension test. Reasonably well sprung, it's not terribly sprung. This is the bit that is going to impress you. Right, I'm going to lift this right rear wheel up as far as I can until one of the front wheels starts to come off the ground. And the front wheel is just starting to lift there. Check out how much room there is above my fist. That's probably got to be about 7 inches of clearance on that side. Incredible. Was not expecting that. Let's move that back a bit. Coming around to the front end. Not quite as extensive as the back. It's nicely sprung. Nicely damped as well. Okay, going to do the same on the front suspension. Lift this until I can see one of the other wheels coming up. You have to be kidding me. And there. Again, the same with my fist under there. That's probably what, about 8 inches sort of clearance on that side. I was not expecting that. This thing should be a monster out there on the jumps, probably more so than the Evo. Although you've got to watch that as though this car will handle far better on loose stuff than it will on blacktop because of that solid rear axle is going to affect the handling at speed. Well, to give you a view from the side on there, so I will lift this wheel right up there until that is the distance that we can lift this front wheel before that back wheel just starts to lift on there. Absolutely mammoth amount of travel. The same on the back. I'm just going to lift this up until that front starts to want to lift, and the same there. The front is just wanting to lift with that amount of travel in there. Well, there we are, side by side, the two new kids on the block. On the left we've got the Traxxas e-Revo VXL 2.0. On the right we've got the Traxxas UDR Unlimited Desert Racer. That hopefully that gives you some idea of the comparison between the two. The Traxxas Unlimited Desert Racer is only about 1.5 inches longer on a wheelbase than the Traxxas e-Revo is, which quite surprised me. I was expecting the UDR to be much bigger because I'd considered getting the Losi Super Baja Ray, which is more akin to the size of my Losi DBL XLE down here. While the Super Baja Ray is narrower, it's nearly the same length, whereas this thing is much smaller in size. Not criticism, but it's just slightly different in size than what I was initially expecting it to be. Well, I just thought this might be a useful comparison as well for anyone that's considering getting either one of these. You've got the Revo here, it's substantially wider than the Traxxas Unlimited Desert Racer that is in front of it. Now, as these are both at the same price point, if anybody would like me to do a compare and contrast video, please say it away in the comments, because you may be considering buying the Revo, you may be considering buying the UDR, so maybe a side-by-side review is something people would like to see. Anyway, let me know in the comments section. Okay, well, zooming in on that battery area, what I believe is the battery area, as best I can. There's a little switch to flick up there, and then that just slides back off of there. So what have we got access to? A little piece of paper from Traxxas for a start. Okay, I can see why they put this in the battery compartment and not in the manual. This is a notice you definitely want to read. It talks through how you modify the tyre and actually cut little holes in it. Cut holes in the tyre? No, it's because they say when you're running on sand, sand can accumulate inside the wheel I guess, when you're running at speed. And if the sand accumulates inside the wheel, can get up to increase the wheel weight by up to 2.5 times the normal weight of the wheel, which is going to put a tremendous stress on that ESC and probably going to blow it up. So pay attention and do this mod as soon as possible to the tyres. Now, I'm not going to be running it on sand today, but I probably will be tomorrow. Somebody will be working on doing this one tonight. Ignore that at your peril. Okay, we'll go in through our quick start guide on here. I have found pretty much straight away the guide to doing the batteries, so I'm going to talk you through exactly how to install the batteries. Okay, well, step one, this thing is actually, if you lift it up slightly, it will then pull down and you can flip out and get access to put your batteries in. Just throwing a little more light on the matter, as I say, once that pops up slide there, then your batteries will slide into that compartment and they connect on there, so there are no loose wires or anything, which is quite nice. You're simply going to push your connectors onto there. It does mean you're only going to be able to use Traxxas connectors with this device. You're not going to be able to go and replace the blocks of Dean's or your favourite other one. You're just going to be able to use Traxxas on there. The good thing being about the battery tray, this cover locks into place on there. That one slides home. He says trying to do this one under the film is not that easy, Rich. Cover locks into place on there, so you're not going to get any issues. You get 30-40 foot off a jump, you're not going to get any issues with the batteries that wanting to fall out. If the batteries come out of this compartment, that's the least of your worries. You have to use Traxxas connectors. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to use Traxxas batteries, just ones with Traxxas connectors on or adapters on the end of them. So hopefully my fluorine packs are going to squeeze in here, although that is going to be tight. Let's see, fingers crossed, Richie boy. Very tight. This could be oil embarrassing. Recommends car to people, then can't fit batteries in. Let's put it in child friendly terms. That was a slightly tight fit, to put it mildly. When you fit your batteries in there, do as I do, do as I say, not as I do. Do not be tempted to push the leads through this hole in there, because there is no need whatsoever for them to do that, because when this goes over, if you look at the placement of it, it goes over the top. So that hole is way down this end, so there is no need for you to try and push the lead, but I'm sure I won't be alone in thinking it will push the leads through there. Something to bear in mind is if you're not using Traxxas batteries, you are going to be better not using adapter leads, but maybe cutting the leads off and soldering on some Traxxas connectors onto your batteries, because the extension leads are wanting to push this battery compartment up, so it's not wanting to totally lock home. But should be enough for me to go out and have a bit of fun with today. Anyway, my battery's all charged up. I'm ready to go out and have some fun with this baby. By the time you're watching this, I may have already put the speed test video up on that. So do check that out if I've already put that up. Any comments or questions you've got on the car, please do ask away. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you like this video, by all means, share and subscribe.
We hope you liked this video. If you did, please click on the circle image to subscribe. And if you hit subscribe, then don't forget to hit that little notifications bell